Now, here's a question for you. Why are insurance companies always the bad guys? Every time disaster strikes, politicians are quick to point fingers, throwing insurers under the bus. But are they really the villains here? Or is there something far more sinister happening behind closed doors? Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the insurance industry in Australia. What's going on, who's really to blame, and most importantly, why everyday Aussies are being left to pick up the pieces. If you think insurance premiums are outrageous, wait till you hear how much of your money is going straight into government pockets. Andrew Hall, CEO of the Insurance Council of Australia, has had enough. In a recent interview, he made it crystal clear. Insurance companies are working around the clock to serve their customers, yet they are treated as easy targets for politicians looking to score points. The real kicker? The soaring insurance premiums that people are struggling to afford aren't just because of insurers. They are being driven by government taxes, inflation, and poor planning. Now, let's break it down. Insurers are paying out billions in claims, but the cost of rebuilding homes has shot up by a staggering 40% in the last 3 years. Why? Inflation. Every year, insurance companies expect a slight increase in construction costs, maybe 2 to 3%. But thanks to supply chain issues, economic instability, and skyrocketing material costs, those increases have been hitting double digits. To put it simply, what used to cost $10 now costs $15. That might not sound like much, but multiply that across thousands of claims, and you've got an industry scrambling to keep up. And yet, people are quick to blame insurers for price hikes. But here's the thing, insurance companies don't control inflation. They don't set the prices for builders, materials, or repairs. They are at the end of the line, forced to deal with rising costs just like everyone else. But here's where things get really juicy. In the last 12 months alone, Australians paid $8.6 billion in insurance taxes. Let that sink in. That's more than a third higher than what insurance companies made in profit. And where's that money going? That's the billion-dollar question. Take Lismore, for example. A town that's been battered by floods over and over again. People there live in constant fear every time it rains, but despite billions flowing into government coffers, the Lismore levy hasn't been raised by a single centimetre. Nothing's changed. One homeowner in Lismore, who now forks out a staggering $6,000 a year for insurance, found out that nearly $2,000 of that is just going to taxes. That's 1/3 of her premium going straight into the pockets of the New South Wales government. And they could remove it tomorrow if they wanted to. But they don't. And it's not just about money, it's about common sense. 220,000 homes have been built in flood-prone areas, yet many of them can't even be insured properly. So who's responsible for that? Is it the insurance companies, or is it the government's planning policies? Now, let's be real. Insurance companies aren't saints. In 2022, when the floods devastated parts of the country, some policyholders were left waiting 2 years for their claims to be processed. That's unacceptable. But let's look at the facts. 230,000 claims flooded into the system that year. Compare that to this year's event, which has produced just 9,000 claims, a number that's far more manageable. Back in 2022, Australia was still grappling with COVID restrictions. Insurers struggled to move people across state lines, assessments were delayed, and builders were overwhelmed. The industry knew there was a problem, so they conducted a full-scale review, leading to 80 recommendations to improve claims handling. And guess what? The vast majority of them are already being implemented. So, the big question is, what's actually being done to fix the root cause of the problem? Because here's the definition of insanity: rebuilding homes in the exact same spots where floods keep wiping them out, only to repeat the process again and again. The insurance industry has been calling for government action to reduce the risk, yet politicians keep dodging the issue. Instead of working towards a solution, we've got a blame game. Politicians point fingers at insurers. Insurers push back and say, "Hang on a minute, we are not the ones charging you billions in taxes." Meanwhile, the people who actually need help are left drowning in bureaucracy and unaffordable premiums. And here's the part that should really get Aussies fired up. If the government actually wanted to lower insurance premiums overnight, they could. Right now. Anthony Albanese and his government could stand up today and say, "We are removing stamp duty on insurance policies." Boom, premiums would drop. But they won't. Because insurance taxes are a gold mine for the government. So, While everyday Australians are paying through the nose just to protect their homes, politicians are raking in billions and doing next to nothing to actually fix the core issue. Instead of investing that money into better flood defenses, improved urban planning, or risk mitigation, it's just being pocketed while the cycle continues. And yet, when disaster strikes again, who do they blame? The insurance companies. At the end of the day, Aussies deserve better. They deserve transparency, action, and fairness. They deserve leaders who actually tackle the problem instead of using insurers as scapegoats. They deserve a system that actually works for them, not just for politicians and bureaucrats. So, the next time you see your insurance premium skyrocket, ask yourself, who's really to blame? Because the answer might not be as simple as you think. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Should the government cut insurance taxes? Should they finally take responsibility for urban planning disasters? And most importantly, who do you think is actually to blame? If you found this video eye-opening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss out on more deep dives like this. Until next time, stay informed and stay sharp.